Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to ILKE Foundation. First of all, my sincere apologies for the delay we have faced. Actually, a number of our friends who were expected today here, they were not able to join us because one of our mutual friend, he has gone a heart surgery, I would say. So actually, not a heart surgery, he had a heart attack. So something that was not expected. So because they were mutual friends, so a number of them have gone. So my sincere apologies for the sheer delay. We almost over 25 minutes, not a normal practice. After that, saying that at the outset, I would not give a long introduction to the issue of Kashmir because that is the purpose for which we have called very esteemed speakers to us today. The names which are reflected on the slide already. I would instead thank all the participants who are here before us, sitting across me, for taking out their precious time and being part of this event, this talk, this panel. Secondly, I would like to especially thank many distinguished guests, most of them, not all of them, but most of them who are sitting in the first row here, each of who warrants a separate seminar, on his own. But, I'm afraid because of the shortage of time, we would not be able to entertain, all of them for talking. But otherwise, inshallah, if Allah, bestows us and, gives us another opportunity, we'll be hosting, each of them. So, I would like to thank some of them with names, but seeking no offense from the ones whose name I would forget, So first of all, our chief guest of today's talk, I would like to invite Dr. Ghulam Nabi Fai, who is a very adroit speaker, and he has long been, a soldier of this cause, I would say, and he's been going around the world, taking the emblem, or I would say, hosting the flag of this cause, letting people know of the actual situation of Kashmir. So I would like to request him to please join me. The second speaker for today's panel, we have got Dr. Waleed Rasool, who is an academician as well as a peace activist, And obviously when I'm introducing them all, again I would say, this warrants a longer introduction, but since this is a formality, I would suffice to these few words. So please, Dr. Waleed Rasool, join me. Secondly, I would like to briefly talk about the format of today's program, inshallah. Since it's a panel, I would be asking a few questions, and the speakers would be enlightening us about the aspects which we would question. Obviously, once we are finished with it, which would take almost 1 hour, we will request questions from the audience, but we will request you because it's such an atmosphere that it would not be very possible to rotate the microphone. So if you could please write down the questions, and you can hand over the questions to one of the friends in this hall. Somebody would be here. You can hand over the questions to this friend, or some other friend would be there standing to take the questions from you. That can be done while we are talking, inshallah, and we move to the question session. So after this short introduction, I would request my colleague to play a very short I would say video about Kashmir. It does not have any voiceover, but still what the glimpses do reflect what is happening in Kashmir. So that was a short video again saying, despite there being no voiceover, only the visuals do reflect the situation which is there, and that could be done, in this short time. And once I was watching this video, I forgot to thank, before we started the program, there was a song being played. So we are honored to have the writer of the lyrics of that song, Turge Evren Hujam, with us here. At the same time, I would like to thank, with your permission, because it's taking long, a very esteemed and distinguished journalist with us, Aslan Balji, Dr. Nadeem Chowdhury, who has joined us, and other very prominent names, which most of us do know, and Dr. Mubin, he's also a prominent figure in the Kashmiri diaspora here. After this, with your permission, I would move to Dr. Waleed Rasool. Since we have got a diverse audience, Dr. Waleed, over here in the hall, and most, or some of the people may know, what the historical, journey of Kashmir has been. Still, to put, things in a perspective, I think it would be good to start with what the issue actually is, Where did it start? Why did it start? So I would request your enlightenment about this.
First of all, I am thankful to you and Dr. Nadeem, dear Tugri, and Dr. Mubin Shah, who is my leader, my elder, and now an ambassador of Kashmir in Turkey, and my mentor, Dr. Fai. It's very difficult and very hard to speak.
The voice of a freedom fighter.
Yeah, it is very difficult and hard to speak in front of the elders and the mentors. Dr. Nadeem is also here. But if you will empirically differentiate what is difference between Kashmir conflict and other conflicts, the main distinguishing character is because it is disputed as per United Nations resolution as international law. This is the characteristics of, from the legal perspective of the dimension. And if you will, purely the legal dynamics of the Kashmir issue. So 13 resolutions has been passed. 5th January 1949 resolution number 1, resolution number 46, clearly mentions 3 things: the demilitarization, establishment of the Right to Self-Determination Commission, and grant of right to self-determination. So you can say that solution is there, but you just need to implement it. And we are just trying to that solution, which we all demand. Sir Vinsha is here. We all want to implement that right to self-determination in real perspective. And for that purpose, we need your support. It is a one dimension. Now, under the same dimension, our struggle is legitimate, both as per UN resolutions, as per international law. And number 3rd, when you are talking about the Kashmir conflict, then there are other dynamics. For example, our core geographical relations, and then historic one, that is the Muslim majority state. And when you are giving the argument, when subcontinent was divided between two, it was not India only between the two nations, but it was controlled by the British India was one area, it was the Portuguese area, it was the French area which was controlled at that time, and the independent states. And among independent states, Kashmir was one of the states, 553 independent states. So Kashmir was neither a part of British India, nor a part of India itself as a whole, nor a French colony, or neither a Portuguese colony. So these are the important basic historic points. Number 2, if you will talk simply about the geographia, I will recommend the students who are related to the conflict studies or international relations, they must read the articles of Dr. Fai, even this paper, and also the Alistair Lamb. Since there was a division between the majority Muslims and the majority Hindus, that is, majority Muslims will go to India and majority Muslims will go to Pakistan. So we were having connection of 753 kilometers with Pakistan, our border, and only 26 kilometers of Gurdaspur, a small strip with India. So you have to, number one is the legal perspective, number two is our geographical relations, number three is a Muslim characteristics, majority of Muslims. So when you are jointly studying the Kashmir in the historical, geographical and the legal perspective, what India promotes or what is her agenda setting to dislodge Kashmir from its legal perspective, from its historical perspective, from its geographical perspective. And number fourth is the first sectionist movement, whom she called terrorist. So this is that narrative which has been built in post 9/11, and this is the now stumbling block. And number four, I will call my dear students who are definitely from various domains of various areas of the study and who are our future. If any foreigner comes in my home and she uses hard power to kill my kids' nears and dears, it is right to defend my home and whatsoever I have. Definitely, despite there is no international law, there is no any geographical relation, there is no any historical bond, but it is simply my right to defend me and to that I should free my home from the external invaders. So this is simple terms, the historical, the geographical, the humanitarian, and the legal perspective of the Kashmir issue. In simple terms, and if any question arises to any of my scholar or my elders, so I am ready here to answer. Despite it was very difficult to talk in front of Dr. Fai, who is our mentor, and he spent his entire life in promoting in various echelons of the power, in the corridors of the power, in higher powers, the Kashmir issue, and same is the Dr. Mubin Shah here, who had to sacrifice his whole life for the Kashmir cause. I mentioned it in brief words the Kashmir history.
Okay, I mean, it may appear to you that we are having some haphazard, jumps, but since we are going to organize and somehow disseminate the message of Kashmiris and the situation of the Kashmir within the restricted time we have. So now I would like to, bother you and request your perspective about, what we see as, you can stay there.
Okay.
There are events, that take place on the surface of the history or on the surface of the world, and they make it evident how the world is showing its apathy to some of the regions. If I specifically talk about what has happened in Ukraine and how the world has shown its concern for the area. So if putting in that perspective, when I ask you not the role of the international organizations, but the international community in general and the Muslim countries in particular, how do you analyze in short?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dr. Waleed has sensitized the whole nation of Pakistan in different areas of the conflict. But I would like to first thank, really you mentioned our brother Turgi. I don't know how much he's known here, but he is very much known in the hearts and minds of the people of Kashmir. Thank you for that. And Dr. Nadeem, I don't know, we are still friends. I know him for the last 30 years.
You know, he's so popular that we are thinking of moving him to Pakistan now.
No, I didn't say that. I said Kashmir. You mentioned Dr. Mubin Shah. Let me introduce him to you and to the audience. You mentioned he is the leader of diaspora here, but he is one of the topmost leader of Kashmiri global diaspora. May Allah bless him. Now coming to your issue or your question, which was here, the apathy of the world community. I would like to briefly mention, because Dr. Waleed was taking us through the genesis of the Kashmir history, we have not really gotten the support of the world community. Honestly, I sometimes cannot thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala how much proud we must feel as a Kashmiris that we have the international legitimacy. I will give you just one or two examples. You might have heard the name of United States of America. Any president of United States of America, not today, for the last at least century, he is the leader of the world. When Kashmir issue got erupted in 1947-48, these are the historical facts. It was none other than the President of the United States, President Harry Truman, who instructed his ambassador to the United Nations, Ambassador Ghulam Austin, as Prime Minister Imran Khan, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto, when they come to United Nations, they first inform the ambassador of Pakistan to the United Nations. What were the instructions coming from the head of the global society, Harry Truman, to Warren Austin to initiate a resolution on Kashmir? So Warren Austin was not only the co-author of the resolution, he was the co-author of the resolution. When I say co-author, there was someone else. And who was that someone else? Great Britain and France. Dr. Waleed mentioned resolution number 47 that was adopted on April 21st of 1948. By the way, those brothers and sisters who are from South Asia, April 21st is Day of Iqbal. What does that resolution say? That the people of Kashmir have the right to self-determination. I just want to give you some examples so that you need to be proud, really, we are Kashmiris. Even if you are not Kashmiri, you are supporting the Kashmir people. Just very historical event. I was there and I told one of the geniuses of Kashmiri diaspora, Ambassador Yusuf Bush, who is dead, who was the chief advisor to the Secretary General of the United Nations for 18 years, a Kashmiri, a Pakistani. What happened? February 22nd, 2006. George Bush was on his way to India. And he has a lecture, India-United States relationship, at the Asia Society and at Mayflower Hotel in Washington, D.C. I am the member of Asia Society, I was there. America has not really supported the Kashmir cause, but the American foreign policy, even today when I am talking to you, official policy, India and Pakistan must resolve the issue of Kashmir after taking into account the wishes and the will of the people. Official policy. George Bush said, whatever India and Pakistan decide, we will accept that. And next day he is going to India. Wallahi, I said at the dead end of Kashmir. Whether you like America or not, America is a decisive factor in the international relations. I call Ambassador Yusuf Bush a Kashmiri American in New York. I said, Basa, Bush said that something which has never been the policy of US. The instant reaction. What do you expect from America? I said, that is true, but America is America. Dear brothers and sisters, please listen carefully. You can go to the Google and go to the White House. You will find exactly the same thing. He left Mayflower Hotel at 21 minutes past 11 in the morning. 21 minutes past 11, he left Mayflower Hotel. It is 5 minutes walk to White House, but he did not walk. 5 minutes walk. At 1 o'clock, he called the Indian press to the White House. Again, go to the Google. No question. There was no question asked. These are his opening remarks, President George W. Bush. Let me clarify. Let the whole world listen. These are the words. Let me clarify, let the whole world listen. We will accept that solution of Kashmir, which is acceptable not only to India and Pakistan, also to the people of Kashmir. I am just thinking, who made George Bush to change his statement? He was, after all, a Bahadur Shah Zafar. He was the king. He said, no, that's not our policy. Coming to your question, these are really our guidelines. This is our strategy. The NATO is on record to have said, United States is on record to have said, I watch on CNN, there are foreign volunteers, they are fighting shoulder to shoulder with the people of Ukraine. And the Ukraine has all the right to defend its territory. Dear brothers and sisters, don't feel shy. We need to remind the world powers. We endorse that. The people of Ukraine have all the right to defend the sovereignty of Ukraine. Then you are saying there are foreign volunteers fighting shoulder to shoulder. Why doesn't it apply on the streets of Gaza? Why doesn't it apply on the streets of Kashmir? Don't feel you are going to be called terrorists. This is their foreign policy, isn't it?
Yes.
United Nations Security Council, they adopted a resolution on East Timor, Myanmar, East Timor, Namibia, Southern Sudan. They were implemented. United Nations intervened. Election was held. Independence was given. Dr. Waleed mentioned Security Council resolution. Let me mention just few things, less than half a minute. On April 1st of 1948, resolution number 43 on the issue of Palestine. 17 days later, resolution number 46, April 27th, 1948, on the issue of Palestine. 4 days later, April 21st, 1948, resolution number 47 on the issue of Kashmir. And 2 days later, April 23rd, 1948, resolution number 48 on the issue of Palestine. Why should we feel shy to knock the door of Antonio Guterres? You have implemented these resolutions on East Timor, Southern Sudan, Myanmar, this Namibia. Why not on Palestine and Kashmir? 100% I agree with you, Shafiq Sahab. World community is not doing what they can do. But they are giving us a reason to raise the issue. So we have really the right time. The Ukraine has really provided us the right time. Today when I am talking to you, I know at least 5 Muslim NGOs from America. 5 Muslim NGOs. They are right now in Ukraine. They are not fighting. They are feeding the poor. They are sheltering the naked people. They are there. America says we feel the pain and suffering of the people of Ukraine. Like Kasam, I do the same. My wife was sometimes crying. She said, what is happening in Ukraine? But why don't they feel the pain and suffering of the people of Kashmir and Palestine? Forget about Kashmir and Palestine. What about Rohingya? What about Yemen? Yes, you are right. There is apathy, but there is also an opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. You know, the emotions that have been flooded, that makes it evident, you know, how it's not the words but the feeling and, you know, his life journey speaking out from his tongue. So we'll continue. And now we'll come to Dr. Waleed, taking from the point of these resolutions. There's also some discussion going on what can be the viable solution for Kashmir, and what are the ways out, And one of the suggestions or one of the proposals that are made, they say that exactly as Dr. Fai mentioned, once the world has given you a route to follow and an international ground to fight on, if you will deviate from it, you will lose the cause. So putting in this perspective, especially that once you try to coin a solution, that takes you away from the grounds that the international community has provided you. Do you think there can be a viable solution? So what can be the viable solution?
Yes. Actually, it is an interesting one, and there shall be some structured answer. And if you might have asked me a question, what can be our role? That might have been from strategic to tactical and campaign level. What are our routes to reach higher echelons of the power which matter in international relations? It is very important. Humanitarian, if you will knock the Human Rights Commission, UNCHR of the UN, we need those Turkish and Muslim organizations who have ECOSOC status. And sir, you sitting here are my friends and colleagues and scholars. The Turkish NGOs who is having ECOSOC status, we have 2,700 case studies of the Juni Valley who are below 17 and killed by Indian brutal forces. You may start from even 5 cases to raise this issue in coming session, which is coming in the June this year after the COVID. It will be helpful to us. Number 2, as sir was talking about how to knock the global powers, the P5 powers, definitely it is his caliber to reach the higher echelons of the state structure. But if you people want to help us, that is how to reach small nations. For example, Turkey, Malaysia, China helped us in last year United Nations General Assembly. Number 1, we want to consolidate this support in coming UNGA Assembly. That is Turkish, Malaysian, Chinese, and Pakistan itself. We shall be in a position to increase 3 numbers more. So we need, sir, your support. Number 2 route. Number 3, when you have to reach the international policy makers, which matter in international policy making. So the people who have various areas in international relations, in international law, in human rights, in humanitarian areas, they shall study the different aspects, and that shall be published by you, sir, in the double peer review journals, which reaches to the international policy research journals. That is ResearchGate, Scopy, and that is available in the Google. This is number 3 route. Number 4 route, we don't need money. We never demand. We don't need sympathy, but empathy. We don't need aid, but trade. We need your, since if you are feeling the pain, as Sir Fai already said, you have something legitimate in your hand what you are doing, because that is being ratified, as Sir said, by UN resolutions. So what you are doing right as per international law and international law. It means whatsoever you do, it is being legitimized by the law. So it is very much clear. And number 4, we need some presently, when last day, the big leader Yasin Malik was booked under UPA, and the local tribunal court has given him 4 sentences of 10 years, and which will run concurrently. And his statement, he's a brave man, as Sir Tugri has shown his photo here also, Yasin Malik, one of the top leaders of the Kashmir. What he said there was no liar. He accepted no liar. He told that if the demand to right of self-determination or to represent my people is crime, I am ready to face the punishment. And if I will be away, I will continue same crime. And he didn't accept any legal aid from any lawyer. And ultimately, last day, the 4 punishments were given simultaneously, 10 years to each case. And what is his case? His case is that he is representing red hot blood of my people. And number 5th, what you can do, you have an access to you are here in the European areas, you have access to other Islamic countries and Islamic NGOs where you have a relationship. Since Dr. Fai is having now Kashmir House in the Turkey, he is our top boss, and we are his this subordinates, rather foot soldiers. Continue a series of dialogue with him. And when you will continue the series of dialogue, you have to discuss only one point, that what is the small baby step where you can help him, and you collectively, who matter in the policy making, who matter in the universities, who are the policy drivers, you will engage him. And number 6 is media. Please have some lobby in you have an effective media, that is Anadolu, TRT, and if you will go a little bit over, that is Al Jazeera. How we can have a little access of our pen in those media houses, that will be help to us. And number 7th, since you have and I was requesting you already, you have a good printing material. And please, I will request to you that if Dr. Faiz this article, please go through it. It should be published in one of these journals, so that it can get the maximum journey. So these are my points, which are just an initial steps where you can help us. And you have to please develop a close liaison with Dr. Mubin Shah, who is there, and I will especially request Sir Dr. Nadeem and Sir Tugri and others to have a close liaison, because he was one of the top businessmen of our Srinagar. He was having the first car distribution, which you have outside. That was called the Alsan Motors in Srinagar. And his all that, the business structure has been demolished. He was caged and he was put in the jail. Then Almighty Allah helped him anyway. He came away and went to the Malaysia. Then his wish was that I shall settle. He is not doing now business. He left this business. I will spend whole time for the Kashmir cause. So it is my request which I am conveying to you.
You know, just a small trick, I would say that the way you have mentioned about Dr. Mubin, I hope we won't have a long queue of people with their CVs, without looking for the jobs. And with your permission, please allow me to have, ask you a little harder question. I won't say that you have ducked my actual question, but I would respectfully say that I do accept, and the international, because this is a diverse community. This is not only Kashmir and Pakistan sitting here. Yeah. This is a diverse community. So, on one side, like what Dr. Fai said, Obviously there is an apathy, but on the other side, we also have an opportunity to see the difference between the way the voice of these Muslim regions, it's echoing on in the world, overall. So when we see the magnitude of this echo being different for Palestine and Kashmir, obviously it also invites us to look intrinsically and within us. So when it invites us to look intrinsically and within us, it's not me ducking my responsibility, but it's just me trying to analyze a scenario in which I know that I have to explore the reasons that has made Palestine echo more in the world and Kashmir less. There is the reason that there are more Irish parliamentarians speaking from the human tragedy, for the human tragedy in Palestine, despite there being Hamas and a full-scale repulsion from them, yet not accepting the freedom fighters of Kashmir. So I would quote Ghazali, and I would come to you with the sub-question that when Ghazali was asked, Imam Ghazali was asked about the Crusaders, that what is the solution for the Crusaders? Imam Ghazali said, had you Muslims been strong enough, they would not have come in the first place. So I would ask you the same question again. Do you not think that if we want to propagate this message, in the first place there is a uniformity required in the house, and for that uniformity it is compulsory to not deviate from the strategy which can be paved for the grounds which the international committee has already given us? I'm sorry for prolonging, it's a question.
No, I got your question very well. I will always look that we must start from the small steps.
No, that's what we have to do.
Yeah, you have to do. But actually, when you are talking the Pakistan and Turkish relations, when you were having the Cyprus problems, Pakistan was first one to talk with the Turkish problem. When there was an Azerbaijan issue, Pakistan came openly in favor of the Turkey. And what so government here Turkey was, there was always the support of that was unconditional. What is in interests of the Turkey? So I will simply request to you, whenever there was any problem in the Palestine, despite we were in our side with conflict with India, but there was a procession in favor of the Palestine. So it has always happened.
So Prof, this is an invitation for us to look.
Yeah,
what makes it different?
Yeah, what makes it different? I'm just trying. It is what that we have been coming here Turkey since last 7 or 4 years. But when I talk a big one, that is this issue also a Muslim issue? So I will request to you how you can it the Muslim issue while sitting in the Turkey. Can we initiate something with who are friends of the Turkey, because we are the far away. But what will be the mechanism to do that? So we have to again start from the single steps. So my answer is that this definitely, if Palestine is echoed more harder than Kashmir, it will be my definitely ambition that Palestine issue shall get help more than what they are getting, but simultaneously Kashmir also. And I will never say that why not Palestine and why not Kashmiri, because we both are Muslims, we both have same type of enemy, which is actually you do not know India. They will say, Ram, Namaste, I have been bruised by Kashmiris, they are killing me every day. He is very cunning, you cannot understand him. He is wearing a dhoti, having a tears in his hands and saying these Kashmiris are very cunning and they have put 1,300,000 forces in our Kashmir. So to deal such an enemy who is ruthless up to the quantum that they are saying themselves that human rights violations are created by a chunk of small people in 1.5 billion population, and they are killing us every day. But they are mourning more than us. And unfortunately, sir, international community and international media says us, my Salahuddin who is indigenous, who had fought elections to contest the elections, and he took oath of Indian constitution to have simply the election. And that elections were rigged. In 1947, I was a small boy, and I was I was handling the youth, and those ballot boxes were robbed by the forces in broad daylight. And at the 11th hour, in the radio Kashmir Srinagar, it was announced that Sayyid al-Salahuddin has been defeated by 150 notes. And we, all these people, have been put in the jails. So what was the option? And India always repeats that we are ready for the political process, but these people do not listen. And the entire community say you have to rupture these narratives, you have to understand these narratives, how cunning she is. This is a mega impediment in Sartugri in our media policy. The crude agenda setting, framing and framing of Indian media is really a stumbling block. And I want to give more time to my mentor, so you have asked me a question, so it is prolonged. I'm very sorry.
I'm sorry, but less time is left. So, thank you very much, but you know, it's again an honor. So once you have people, the bigwigs with the intellectual depth, so you can go on and on an issue, especially when they decide, you know, they will not touch on issues. Respected Professor Dr. Fai, coming back to you, now let's change, you know, this dimension of the debate and talk about the positive side of the struggle. The positive side of the struggle is that we have an indigenous movement in Kashmir, and it's not the only separatist movement in the world, and even not in India. So there are more than 40 probably movements which are going on in Kashmir, in India. Still, what is heard the most, and what is the strongest one, and what even has the upheavals, and what has the sporadic movements, you know, sporadic peaks, I would say. Like, if I can quote, if I rightly remember, the martyrdom of Shahid Burhanwani, Riaz Naiko, and you know, some of the names I will not be mastering in maybe. So how do you see this trend, and what do you think are the reasons behind this cause standing out in the positive way?
Before that, I would like to give you one good thing about Dr. Mubin and one bad thing. The good thing is that he is the Turkish citizen, and the bad thing is he does not speak Turkish. Inshallah, he will do it. Yes, India has been able to kill more than 100,000 innocent Kashmiris. Yes, India has been able to make more than 10,000 people disappear. These are the figures in the country report of United States Department of State. 10,000 people have disappeared. But one thing, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, India has not been able to kill the wishes and the aspirations of the people of Kashmir. I will give the facts. The fact number one, there was a survey conducted by Outlook, Monthly Outlook, which is a magazine from New Delhi. And it was reported one of the major news agency of India, UNI, United News of India, June 15, 2004. Aap kya chahte, what do you want? According to that survey, 78% of the people of Kashmir, they want Azadi. Azadi means freedom from the occupation. Then there was another survey that was conducted by a newspaper of Pakistan, which is known as Daily Dawn, an Indian-based Hindustan Times. And you might have heard the name of CNN. It has an affiliate in India, CNN IBN. They had a survey 3 years later, which was released on August 12, 2007. The first one was 2004. August 12, 2007. आप क्या चाहते, what do you want? In 2004, 78% want Azadi. In 2007, 87% want Azadi. Then 3 years later, there was a survey conducted by Chatham House, which is British-based think tank, Chatham House. And the survey was released on May 27, 2010, exactly 3 years later. You know who released it? BBC. Listen carefully. 2010. According to Chatham House, 90 to 95% of the people of the Valley of Kashmir, they want Azadi. Shouldn't we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You know, I have not been able to go to Kashmir for the last 41 years. I really cannot have the pulse of the street. But when the people, I see so many faces here, when they talk to their parents, their kith and kin, they cannot even say Salaam Alaikum. But the sentiments. And what is really interesting, again, coming back to the apathy. You might have heard the name of Kofi Annan. As the Secretary General of the United Nations. See the beautiful question. We should ask this question again and again, Brother Shafiq. The question was asked as the Secretary General. Mr. Secretary General, you were in slumber, you were asleep. One fine morning you woke up. You had the resolution adopted on Islamabad. You intervened, election took place and gave them the freedom. What happened? See the answer. He said, we had a survey in Islamabad. There was a survey conducted in Islamabad. And 70% of the Islamics did not want to be the part of Indonesia. We have no choice but to intervene. Dear brothers and sisters, he was the Secretary General. We should take their statement due to the Antonio Guterres. Chatham House is not funded by ISI. It is not funded by President Erdogan. It's a British think tank and released by BBC. 90 to 90%. If you intervene there, why don't you intervene here? But we have our own problem. Although Brother Shafiq did not ask to me, but he asked to my dear brother.
But you are free to answer that.
You might have heard the name of Yasser Arafat. By the way, just on the softer note, my daughter was very young. She was going to Sunday Islamic school. And she came to me, she said, Daddy, why do we need to meet Yasser Arafat during Hajj? I said, Zahra, her name is Zahra. I said, Zahra, we don't need to meet Yasser Arafat during Hajj. Who told you? He said, Brother Isa. Brother Isa is a Caucasian brother. He accepted Islam. So I went to Isa. I said, what did you teach students? Why do they need to meet Yasser Arafat? He said, no, I told them that Hajj is incomplete unless we go to Arafat. Because Yasser Arafat is so known, she thought we have to meet Yasser Arafat. There was Islamic summit in Doha, Qatar. By the way, Kashmiris, alhamdulillah, our leadership, we have an observer status. We do participate and we do make the intervention in the Islamic summit. One of our leaders, Ghulam Nabi Fai, he is from All Parties Hurriyat Conference, he spoke there. And Yasser Arafat was the chairperson of that session. As Shafiq, whether he likes or not, when he is moderating the session of Kashmir, he has to say something good about Kashmir. No. As a moderator, you have to say something good about the speaker, about the Kashmir. Honest to God, he said almost 3-4 minutes, the genesis of Kashmir issue, Yasser Arafat, while introducing the Kashmiri speaker. So I said, oh, this is really wonderful. I had another brother with me, Dr. Ayub Thakur, may Allah bless his soul, from London. He said, let us go and thank him. Wallahi. We said, Mr. Chairman, because he was the chairman. Mr. Chairman, we have no words to thank you. The way you really presented the Kashmir issue, we want to thank you. You know what he said? He said, brothers, Kashmir is in my heart. Dr. Ayub told him, can you put it on your lips? So, brothers and sisters, wallahi, I don't complain America. You know why? I cannot mention the name, but I can mention the name later on to Shafiq, one of the top leader of State Department, the point man on South Asia, not Kashmir or India, Pakistan, point man on South Asia. We went to him, his mamu, by the way, his uncle, Dr. Mubin's uncle, and his baby friend, Dr. Imtiaz Khan, we were together. We told him, you are meeting the President of Pakistan and the Prime Minister of India in New York. And we hope that we are going to talk about the issue of Kashmir. Listen carefully. How important our role is, we don't really understand our importance. Wallahi, these are the words. And you can talk to Dr. Imtiaz Khan. He said, Dr. Fai, any delegation we have from India, whether it is on the issue of Kashmir or not, whether it is economics, purple or orange, we raise the issue of Kashmir. I said, thank you very much, Excellency. 2 days later, wallahi, we had the meeting with the same person. Again, it was the United Nations conference. The President of Pakistan was coming, but this time it is a different president. And the Prime Minister of India was coming, and I told him that you are going to meet with them, and I hope you are going to raise the issue of Kashmir. Shafiq, Allah is the witness. He said, Dr. Fai, I don't want to disappoint you. I don't think we are going to raise the issue of Kashmir. I didn't tell him that what you told me 2 years back, that any delegation coming from India, no matter what they speak, we speak on Kashmir. Wallahi, I was shocked. But I was very smiling. I said, Excellency, why not? He said, Dr. Fai, let me tell you the truth. Within the past 6 months, I have met at least 10 delegations from Pakistan. They don't mention about Kashmir. I said, Subhanallah. Try to put the points together. Link them. The reason they were talking about the issue of Kashmir to India, because Pakistan was raising. It is not because we are here. 2 years back I came here. Wallahi. My wife told me, if you happen to meet with President Erdogan, please tell him that we are praying for you. And when I conveyed this message, not to him, to his protocol officer, I had the tears of eyes. We met him in New York. We told him, President, you are giving a speech tomorrow in the United Nations. Can you mention Kashmir? He did not give any commitment. He said, I will see. May Allah bless him. Next day he said, we are concerned about the issue of Kashmir. We cannot remain silent. Kashmir issue has to be resolved. What I am saying that it is not only America and Kofi Annan and others. It is our own leadership. It is too much without giving the details, but I will tell you one thing. We brought the resolution on Kashmir in the United Nations Human Rights Commission. Right now it is Council, it was Commission. 53 members of the Commission. 17 were the members of OIC countries. 17 that time, by the way, today there are 47 members because it is Council. It was 53 members, it was Commission. You know how many said we are going to, first of all, we did not get anybody to initiate it. You know who initiated it? May Allah bless his soul. The President of Bosnia, Dr. Aziz Bo. His ambassador saw me, he said, Dr. Fai, I have a good news for you. I said, what is that? He said, President told me that I should initiate the resolution on Kashmir. Anyway, we had 3 votes. India has 3 votes. And the floating vote was a Muslim country, I will not mention the name. He came to Ambassador Munir Akram, who is right now Pakistani ambassador to New York. Then he was ambassador to Geneva. He said, Munir, my president has told me we have to vote for Kashmir. Let us initiate it. India has 3, we have 3. Floating vote is on our side. We initiated, every country was going to take abstention. Tomorrow there's a debate and he came to Munir Akram, sorry, you have to withdraw the resolution. He said, what? He said, my president told me, we have to vote for the resolution but against it, not to take the abstention. Brother, these are our Muslim people. But again, don't lose hope. You know who told me that? Obviously it is Quran, but other than that, in the secular terms, Kiran Pendergast. Kiran Pendergast was number 2 in the administration of Kofi Annan, Under Secretary General of United Nations for Political Affairs. There was a conference in Iran, OIC conference. He asked me, are you going to go to the Islamic Summit Iran? Well, I said, Excellency, it is OIC. He had jacket like this. He took it off. He said, let me talk to you as a friend. You are not serving the people of Kashmir if you are not going to the OIC. He said, never ever underestimate any international platform, and OIC is one of them. Again, Yasser Arafat has in his heart, we have to tell them, but there are really people, I will tell you one more story, it is really getting late. The Foreign Minister of Saudi Arabia, Prince Saud al-Faisal. I was in Dakar in December of 1991, and I had taken the briefing paper like this to give to every head of the state, and it was for King Khalid. He did not come, Crown Prince Abdullah came. So I changed it, I put it in the name of Crown Prince Abdullah. So I saw Saud al-Faisal coming, I said, okay, let me give to him. He is equivalent to everybody. And he opened it, I have not closed it, it was in the envelope. He opened it and very first line, he said, have you given to anybody? I really did not tell him the truth. I had already given to Rafsanjani, the president of Iran, Yasser Arafat, and one more person. I said, no, you are the first one. Change this word, not the line. He said, change this word and bring it back to me. Because India is going to use it against you. This is the very first line. If I will tell you, our mentor Sayyid Ali Gilani, he said, no, why did you change it? May Allah bless his soul, Sayyid Ali Gilani. Even Muhammad Yassin Malik, he will say, why did you change it? You know what did I say? I wrote in the very first thing, the Muslims of Kashmir are demanding the right to self-determination. He said, why? Isn't this right given to every Kashmiri? Right, the people of Kashmir. From that day until now, I have never used Muslim, although it is the Muslims who are being persecuted, but the right has been given to everybody. So coming back to your question, we have a lot of challenges. Wallahi, there are opportunities. Talk to his friend Dr. Imtiaz Khan. We met with the ambassadors and the deputy ambassador of 59 countries. 59 countries. You have heard the name of Russia. They told us half an hour. And I told my delegation, Dr. Akram Dar Sahab, Dr. Imtiaz Sahab, Roof Sahab, your bodies. I said, we have to be very brief, very short, and out of half an hour, ours is only 10 minutes. 20 minutes is his. You know how long the meeting lasted? 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's not any country, it is Russia. Did Russia support us? No. But what I am saying, we have a really sanctity of the cause. Wallahi, I feel so delighted when I meet with the ambassadors. Why? They never told me that you are wasting your time. Although they are not helping us, ultimately help comes from Allah.
Thank you very much. You have saved me from one question, because after I had asked about the apathy of the world, I was going to come myself to the apathy that the Kashmir is facing from the Muslim countries, in fact. So you have already asked that question, which we do widely accept, because it is written on the fate for now. It is a realistic thing, that cannot be denied, though it's unfortunate. But like you have told us, you have guided us. We vote to not lose hope, inshallah. Coming towards conclusion, because obviously people would maybe short of time. I would just ask you a short question, and then I would invite questions from the audience, because they are already a pile of questions, I guess. I would just request you, whoever is writing the question, please do write your name and affiliation as well, so we can make sure, all 20 pages are not coming from one single guy. So the last thing, because it's a recent occurrence, I would like to talk. Dr. Waleed Rasool has mentioned him. This, I would say, this Iron Man, whose name is Yasin Malik, who will be sentenced to life in prison. And obviously he is not the first of his kind, though there are not many of his kind, but he's not the first who has suffered it. And you probably make the best choice to tell us about this whole that you are facing at the hands of India, especially after this current regime has come in, and that too multiple times in India. How the situation has changed, I would say drastically in Kashmir, and how it's making it difficult for the leaders there, and how can you say, a ray of hope there, there can be light down the tunnel, but how do we see that light?
This is a very important question. Let me tell you. You can say anything you want to say in Kashmir, anything. But one thing you cannot say, what Indian army is doing in Kashmir. If you will do, you will be picked up and sent thousands of miles away in jail of India. No problem, because Dr. Mubin Shah, he was in Agra, which is almost 2,000 miles. He is with us. But they are being booked under UPA, which is Unlawful Activity Prevention Act. That means you can be called as a terrorist, and the sentence is death. I will give you one example, then I will come to Yasin Malik. One of the internationally known human rights defender, Ghulam Parvez. His name was mentioned in the report of United Nations Human Rights High Commission on Human Rights. The Secretary General of United Nations, he mentioned his name. I told you and you told me, yes, United States of America. The State Department, they mentioned Ghulam Parvez's report 5 times. The niece of President John F. Kennedy, Kerry Kennedy, she is the chairman of one of the NGOs. Dr. Mubin has met her along with Ghulam Parvez. They gave him one of the topmost award on human rights. He was picked up under UPA called terrorist. You know who came to defend Ghulam Parvez? Mary Lawler. Mary Lawler is the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Human Rights Defenders. Exact quote, Ghulam Parvez is not a terrorist. He is a human rights defender. Yasin Malik. He picked up the gun. He initiated the militancy. As Dr. Waleed very correctly mentioned, when Salahuddin was contesting the election, Yasin Malik was his polling agent. He believed in the democratic values. But ultimately he has no choice but pick up gun. Then he was arrested and he was in the jail. The Indian government wanted to talk to him. So they brought him to the hospital. 3 people came to see him. You must remember the names. Kuldeep Nair, one of the topmost journalists of South Asia, not only India, South Asia, and Indian High Commissioner to Great Britain, and the grandson of Raj Mohan Gandhi, and Justice Rajendra Sachar, who was the Chief Justice of Delhi High Court. He was the United Nations Special Expert on Human Rights Council. They came to see him. If you will initiate the peaceful movement, anything that is against you, Indian government is going to withdraw all the cases. You start the peaceful, non-violent movement. 1994, he initiated non-violent movement on the basis of the promise that was given by the government. Although people who met him, they were not the government, but they were sent by the government. Then Dr. Manmohan Singh sent him an invitation. and he called me. The reason I am saying he called me because he said it on a Pakistani television, which is Hamid Mir. Otherwise, I would not say that he called me. He called me that I have a meeting with Prime Minister. Should I go and talk to him? I said yes. But first meet with the press that I am going to do, and I am going to talk on this and this issue. When you had the meeting, you tell the press what the meeting was talk about. He told Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, you should directly talk to Salahuddin. Salahuddin is the chief of Hizbul Mujahideen. And he said he was taken aback. He said, why? He said, these talks are not going to succeed. You have to talk to Salahuddin. And I am going to help you. He said, how are you going to help? He said, if you will help me, I have to go to Washington. This is what he told Hamid Mir. It's on the geo, that's why I am saying. Because when India says he's a terrorist, that's why I want to tell you, if he's a terrorist, these things would not have happened. He said, I have to talk to Dr. Fai. He said, okay, you have my permission. You go to talk to him. He came to Washington, D.C. We met with the White House and the State Department, National Security Council of the United States. And he told him exactly, he said, I have to go from here along with Dr. Fai, meet with the Salahuddin because he is a part of the process. He said, okay. He went to Pakistan, he met with the Salahuddin. My point is, the United States accepted the next stage of Muhammad Yasin Malik when he renounced the violence, this militancy, and initiated the non-violent movement. And he made it public. One of the most important person from State Department, he asked me, rather she asked me, Dr. Fai, I came to know Muhammad Yasin Malik is in New York. I said, yes. He said, is he coming to Washington? What does that mean? State Department was anxious to meet with Yasin Malik. And he met. I was with him. So now India is saying that he is a terrorist. And this is exactly what he said in the court. If I am a terrorist, then why did the Prime Minister of India wanted to see with me? So that's why what is important here, our leadership in Kashmir, there is no leadership. The tallest of tall, Sayyid Ali Gilani, the people were not allowed even to go to his funeral. We thank the people of Turkey. You went to Grand Mosque here, you had a janaza for him. They were not allowed to go to his janaza. Muhammad Yasin Malik, as you said, Shafiq saw very rightly, he got the life. And other leaders, they are there. So that's why it is the responsibility of Kashmiri diaspora. And we cannot do much. We cannot do much without the support of our brothers. But let me also tell you, when this abrogation Article 370-35A happened in 2019, there was a big demonstration in front of Indian Embassy in Washington. Wallahi, I did not initiate it. His uncle did not initiate it. Nobody from Pakistan initiated it. It was initiated by Nihad Awad, a Palestinian brother. We have not gotten the support from non-South Asians until that day. Now Arab brothers, Palestinian brothers, our Afro-American brothers, so they have really understood the people of Kashmir, they are really facing the miseries and suffering. So there is really a hope. I will give you a last example before he will open the question. The media. Media is very important and you can play wonders. Don't feel that you cannot do anything. I will give you one example because his mom, his uncle was also with me that time. Dr. Imtiaz Khan was not the member of the board. We had a meeting with the editor-in-chief of Washington Post, our board. Wallahi, the minute he saw us, he said, am I talking to terrorists? These are his opening. Am I talking to terrorists? Everybody was Kashmiri, so I told him in Kashmiri language. I said, what he said, you have to take it very seriously. By the time we leave, he must not have this impression that these are the terrorists. I have no words to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We had more than 1 hour meeting. He came to see us off near the car. He said, gentlemen, let me tell you. I think I was talking to the scholars today. Then I told him, by the way, his last name is Stephen Rosenfeld. Stephen Rosenfeld. I said, Mr. Rosenfeld, can you write something? He said, I am going to write. He said, send me something. I said, I have sent you so much, you never publish it. He said, mistake. You should also understand that. I said, why mistake? He said, if you are going to send me something and you have the expectation of to be published, if I don't publish, then you are not going to send me again. But what about if you will send me something and I will read it, then I will say, yeah, they have a point, then I will write an editorial. What is better? I said, obviously, editorial. Few months back, he wrote an editorial. I may still have a copy. The last line of the editorial, the last line, there is 2/3 of a million army in Kashmir. 2/3 of a million army is 666,670. 2/3 of a million. If I will quote Dr. Waleed, if I quote Shafi, who is going to listen to me? Even Gilani sir. I am quoting which one? Washington Post. There is a 2/3 of a million army. Mr. Karl Mayer, New York Times. The reason I am telling you, Wallah, it's not difficult to get your article published or to meet with the editorial board. Karl Mayer, the chief editor of New York Times, our delegation met him. He wrote an editorial. You know what is the last line of the editorial? We must support India to be the member of the Security Council. But we cannot do that unless India resolves the issue of Kashmir. Challenge and opportunity.
Thank you very much. We'll move to the questions now, and before questions, thank you very much for the very thoughtful discussion. And obviously, we would want to listen to you, in another setting for a longer time, inshallah, and know other facets of this issue as well. Moving to questions, I'll use my small prerogative here to just ask the question.
Moderator has a big prerogative.
No, because I mean we want to conclude it within 20 minutes. So
okay.
The questions which itself warrant 20 minutes discussion, I would kind of skip them. So there's a question. It's a very simple one. It says that it's from a law student who studies in Germany. He's asked that in the case of Palestine, we have BDS, which is the boycott movement. Do we have any similar activism to support Kashmiri cause? And is it even possible to boycott India?
Dr. Saab, please ask a question, Dr. Saab.
In terms of media, what was the question?
BDS. The BDS, the boycott movement?
Oh, no, unfortunately, we have initiated it. The credit goes to American-born Kashmiri youth. They are doing wonders, alhamdulillah. They don't consult us. We don't need to be consulted. They know how America functions. And they got this idea. They are in touch with the people who have really initiated in South Africa and other places. But there are some baby steps. But we are already on that road. And there is another scholar, you might have heard the name of Dr. Farhan Chak. He is from Canada and Canadian Kashmiri, but he is based in Qatar. So he is also in touch with them, rather he has initiated this one. So yes, we are there, but we are not yet on the road.
Thank you very much. And sorry, I'll come to you, but because you have mentioned this, about hope. So there's a question from an international relations student, and it says, it's not that the world hasn't raised voices on the issues of Kashmir, Palestine and Yemen, but keeping in mind the hypocrisy of international community, isn't this exercise wasteful to look towards the same hypocrites? Isn't it the time to think critically about our associations, platforms and alliances, probably, she said, or he has said. So since you talked about hope, so
you are not alone. I think at least we are 1.5 billion.
2 billion.
Okay, 1.5 billion, I am sure 1.4 billion agree with you. But let me quote you, really, he was the encyclopedia of Kashmir, Dr. Ambassador Yusuf Bush from New York, a Kashmiri Pakistani American. He told me that if you rely on America to get the freedom, you are living in utopian world. He said, if you really feel that you are going to get freedom without the support of America, it's a daydream. He said, these are contradictions in terms, but unfortunately, this is the way international relations moves. You are right. International world powers, they have shown so much diplomacy and duplicity. Can you believe it? You might have heard the name of Donald Trump, I think. He mentioned 5 times. He said, I will teach Pakistan a lesson if I am going to be the president. Very important. 3 days before the election, he had a fundraising by Indian Americans in New Jersey. A fundraising for a billionaire. You cannot give him peanuts, brother. You have to give millions. And Indian Americans, they are very rich. One brother from Kashmir, from New Jersey, he said, they have a fundraising, we want to have a protest. I said, yes, you should get the permission. You have to have the permission. He got the permit from the police to protest against the Indian Americans, not against Donald Trump. They changed the hotel. Then he called me, his name is Imtiaz Khan, not our other one. I said, Imtiaz, leave it now, you don't need to go again hotel to hotel. But what is really interesting, the correspondent of Hindustan Times came to interview him before his speech. It is in the Hindustan Times. What I am telling you, it is already published in the Hindustan Times. He said, this is an opportunity for me to ask him a question about Pakistan, and he is going to say, I am going to teach them lesson and I am going to make it a story. He said, Mr. Trump, what will be your policy towards Pakistan? This is the question. Again, this is already Hindustan Times. What will be your policy towards Pakistan? And the answer he was expecting, I am going to teach them lesson. These are the words of President Donald Trump. If I am elected, I will be honored to mediate between India and Pakistan to help resolve that hot tinder box of Kashmir. Whoever asked this question, did he do anything? No. Then why do we need to go to them? Because, as Dr. Waleed mentioned, even you mentioned, Shafiq Bhai, by the way, you mentioned there are many separatist movements. We are not separatists. Under all international agreements, listen carefully, under all international agreements agreed upon by both India and Pakistan, negotiated by the United Nations, accepted by the Security Council, Kashmir, when I am talking to you, Kashmir does not belong to any member state of the United Nations. So if Kashmir does not belong to any member state of the United Nations, so Kashmiris cannot secede from India, to which they have never acceded in the first place. But that's beside the point.
It is very important.
My point is, those separatist movement in India, they do not have international legitimacy. We have the international legitimacy. It is long, but it is very important. When Narendra Modi abrogated Article 370-35A in Urdu, I am sure some people understand Urdu. I will say in Urdu, then I will translate. जो कश्मीरी है उन्होंने कहा हमारी तो मां मर गई. Kashmir issue is dead. Abrogation not 370, particularly 35A. What can we do? August 5th, 2019. Then August 10th, 2019, how many days? 5 days. Antonio Guterres had a press conference. Sir, India abrogated Article 370-35A. What is your opinion? He could have said, yeah, it's an internal matter of India. He said, Kashmir, these are the words. You cannot misquote anybody, and for that matter, Secretary General of the United Nations. Kashmir issue has to be resolved under UN Charter and under applicable United Nations Security Council resolution. That's why we have to go to them. They will not do anything. But at least we can remind them. You know, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, tie the camel, then leave it up to Allah. We have to tie the camel. What does that mean? I'm not saying that President Erdogan was not going to speak on the issue of Kashmir next day. But because me and Dr. Ghulam Nabi Mir, our president, we had an opportunity to meet with him, we had to tie the camel. We tied the camel and left it up to Allah, and Erdogan mentioned Kashmir.
Thank you very much. I think there will be only one or two questions that could be entertained now. So let's see who are the lucky ones. There is a question, so I'm going for the less political one now. How does the economic interests play a role in delaying the resolution of resolving the issue of Kashmir?
Important role. Geopolitics, geoeconomics, and geostrategies. There is a linear relationship in international terms between geostrategics, geoeconomics, and geopolitics. And you can never nullify geoeconomics from the interests. So it is very important issue. Rather, you might say it is a stumbling block why India is not being pressurized by outside powers that they must resolve the Kashmir. Actually, India is having 1.25 billion population, and if you are carrying a trade with India, it can benefit every nation outside India. So these economic ties are very important when you pursue the Kashmir conflict in India. But actually what you have to learn as a student, currently there are 170 countries, majority of countries, 90%, except Turkish and few, they have been never slaves. But all nations who are currently independent states have always fought against a powerful one. It is nothing new in the history of the resistance that any rebellion is being fought against a power, same as the legacy of ours one, but still the weaker one got the independence. It is history in front of you. For example, Algeria against France, the Afghanis against superpower America, and other, even India and Pakistan against the colonial Britishers, even Turkey, the last Gallipoli war, who are fought by Ataturk against the Britishers, and when Britishers were defeated from this Constantinople and this Istanbul area, so they used to be always powerful. Now, what is, as Sir Fai already mentioned, it is resilience, consistency, support, and favor of the people who are having true sympathy with the freedom fighters. And it is why that we sacrificed 100,000 people, and it is not questioned now outrightly whether that was a right step or wrong. We have only one option now, and that is the move forward. And there will be definitely a geo-economical challenge to face the wrath of India. It is the mega stumbling block. But when we are saying in recently Afghanistan got freedom from the Americans, they have been such a resilient that they were accepted to pay the huge human cost against the freedom. So definitely we are ready to do that. But when you are talking about the geo-economy, it is a fulcrum which we cannot balance ever. Whenever you are talking between the relations, last day a scholar from the Qatar came to Pakistan and we were having a conference in the Institute of Policy Studies. I immediately questioned him what is the trade relations between Turkey and India, between Turkey and Pakistan. It will determine the foreign policy of each country. But still, despite there was a $4 billion loss of the palm trade between Malaysia and India, but Malaysia supported us in the United Nations Security Council. Same is the case with the great President Tayyip Erdogan. Despite you have a huge interest with the India, keeping her huge market in consideration, but President Erdogan not only supported us in the UN General Assembly, but always raised the question. So what matters here? The two freedom fighters are the countries who are currently supporting us, including China. Even in China, China and India have $100 billion of the trade between India and China. But still China supports our position. So in international relations, what is the main thing that whether my security concern is paramount as compared to geo-economy, security remains the paramount. For example, the Turkish and Pakistani relationship, here it is not the matter how much Turkish have a benefit from Pakistan during the economy. It is your core issue is the security issue. Whenever you have any external threat, Pakistan is at your support. So it matters in international relations. It is a good question. Thank you for it.
Thank you very much. So probably last question, actually there's a question about the tenure of Munir Akram. So since you have already mentioned him, so until you want to take it on again, I would skip that question.
What was the question, by the way?
The question is about his tenure, last year when he was in the UN ECOSOC. So what diplomacy approaches were adopted, under him? And was the Kashmir cause added?
You want to skip it anyway?
No, you can. No, because you
if not, I may say it, but if not this, what was the next question you were going to ask me? The final one.
I thought you have already mentioned that, so I said. But
coming back to the trade, you might have heard the name of General Colin Powell.
With your permission, let me add the last question.
Okay.
So, no, I can.
No, you can add.
This is another mic, so it won't be. So how the lobbying for Kashmir can be more beneficial, and how different community parts can participate.
MashaAllah, excellent.
If you will repeat, whole question is, few questions might having some resemblances. It will be better, but I like interactions. Students should get please answer, because they have come, they have some curiosity. It is very important in please repeat, sir, the all questions, he will give same question to answer to all questions.
That's a very important part, but let me tell you about that trade. General Colin Powell, he used to be the chief of the Army Staff of America. Then he was the Foreign Minister of America. Then there was Kargil crisis between India and Pakistan and Kashmir. And that's the first time that India and Pakistan, they were at the brink of nuclear catastrophe, according to American experts. Thomas Friedman is a very influential columnist of New York Times. Thomas Friedman wrote a piece that Kargil crisis was resolved not by General Colin Powell, but by General Electric. Okay? Because trade is very important. But let me tell you, I am on the record to have said, and let me say it again. Munir Akram is one of the best ever diplomat of Pakistan. It is really the good luck of Pakistan and good luck of Kashmiris. Because he has raised, not only he has raised the Kashmir issue, even today, he raised the issue of Kashmir at the Security Council. He mentioned the name of Yasin Malik. He is best of the best. I am glad you mentioned about the lobbyist. First of all, the paper, if you have not received it, it is outside, please take it. You know what you can do? you can easily do it. I am going to give you the email of Secretary General of the United Nations. I am going to give you the email of UN High Commissioner on Human Rights. Let us concentrate on these two. The facts. You don't need to write a long letter. You can tell the Antonio Guterres, you are the one who appointed Mary Lawler to be the special rapporteur of the United Nations on Human Rights Defender. She said Ghulam Parvez is not a terrorist, but he is a human rights defender. Why is he still in the jail? Tell them I am a student of such and such university. Tell them that I am not a Kashmiri, I am not an whatever Pakistani, I am a student. Muhammad Yasin Malik met with the Prime Minister of India. The official statement of Prime Minister of India, I am engaging with Yasin Malik to initiate the negotiation between India, Pakistan and Kashmiris. If the Prime Minister of India is giving this statement, why did he get the life? I have students here who are fathers and uncles are in the jail for the last so many years. God forbid they may face the same life. So again, don't underestimate your pen and intellect. But you need an email, which I'm going to do that. And secondly, your local newspaper. If an article is published in Washington Post, to me that's not important. For the reason I am going to give to you. If it is published in Sirkeji is a area here, in the Sirkeji local newspaper, that something human rights violation taken place in Kashmir, wallahi, that is more important. You know why? India will say, yeah, Washington Post, New York, what about this Sirkeji? There is something going on at a lower level. This will be very important. Yes. And when you are going to say, I am from the Uskodo University and there is a Uskodo local newspaper, he is a local person. Raise your voice and never underestimate the importance of pen and intellect. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has been so merciful. He has given us 101.5 billion pens. And we are not using it. At one time, I was really very angry with the person who was sent by Sayyid Ali Gilani to attend an Islamic summit in, I think it took place in Malaysia. Because Sayyid Ali Gilani could not come, he sent a person and with a speech. Brother Shafiq. And speech was 5 pages. There was one paragraph on Kashmir. Abdul Majid Muttu. I said, Muttu sir, what is this? He is not representing here Ummah, he is representing here Kashmir. He said, but you know, this is Gilani Sahib. What I mean by that, we had a demonstration in front of the Myanmar embassy in Washington, Myanmar embassy, you know, Rohingya Muslims, more than 10,000 people. Then I asked one Rohingya brother, unfortunately he just passed away a month ago. He was a professor in one of the universities. I said, how many Rohingyas are in America? He said in Washington DC maybe 20, 30, 40, 60, 100. I was really delighted. I said, that means that it is non-Rohingya Muslims. These are Americans who are coming there. That's why Shafiq Bhai, you do not really need to be a Kashmiri to support the Kashmir cause. Please use your pen, use your, on the basis of facts. On the basis of facts. If you go through his paper, and Dr. Waleed has, honestly, he has organized more than 24 these seminars. We can ask him to send it to Shafiq Sahab and he can email it to you, because I am sure he has your email or WhatsApp, on the basis of facts. And believe me, if there are 10 letters going to Secretary General of the United Nations, why Ghulam Parvez is still in the jail? What happened to Yasin Malik? What about now Shabir Shah? What about Altaf, Pentosh, and Asia Andrabi and others? And it will make a difference. In conclusion, use the social media. And lastly, because it is our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, We have to make dua for everybody. But what a beautiful message by Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, if you are going to make a dua for a person who has no idea you are making a dua, it will be accepted right away, not only for him, but for you too. Raise the hands for the people of Rohingya, for the children of Gaza, for the people of Afghanistan, they still need our help. Yemen, Ukraine, and Kashmir. With that, East Turkestan, and let me tell you also with due respect, Dr. Nadeem, and for Pakistan.
सब short अगर आप आंसर देंगे सबों को छोटा-छोटा मिलेगा short. हाँ.
Since you know you have insisted too much.
No, answer. Because they are waiting to their question. They have come from far areas. It is very important to give the question.
So what I would do is, let me again have my own, way of asking those questions. I would, I've read through all the questions, so some of them are similar. So I would ask 2 or 3 things which have been asked in these questions. So either of you can reply. But I would ask them at once, all of them. Because some of them go back to the history
sir,
of India.
you may ask better to Sir Fai.
So you want me to ask, but you want to force me to answer. Okay, so one question is about different narratives of the solution of Kashmir. So 2 questions are there which are talking about when the different narratives are coming from within Kashmir. So does it not take, is it not like, what should I say, is it not a defeat for, or does it not hamper or hinder the progress of Kashmir cause in the international arena? So there is a question, I would not skip anyone, I'm scared of you now. Because, so there is a question, again it's your prerogative to ask it or not, because I don't know if it's very related or not. Was it a bad decision to divide Indian subcontinent or not? So some of the questions are marginally related, so I was skipping them. And then there's a question about, Dr. Waleed Rasool talked about small steps. So one question is that is it not too late to take the baby steps, and should there not be a bigger realization, and Muslim countries, especially Pakistan and other Muslim countries, come together and start their cognizance for this issue? And I think it's more of a desire everybody has got, but still the question is open to you if you want to reply. And then there's it says that if US policy is available, then why India and Pakistan are not solving it by conversation or war? I'm sorry, but probably this guy has either written the question before listening or hasn't listened to us.
But why, guy, it can be associated. Under the name is there. That's okay.
Yeah, so if that is not going to happen, should the Kashmiris not look for, the details and alternative, solutions? So there's a question which criticizes alternative solutions, and you have a question. So they are probably open-ended question. And the last question, is it just because the Kashmiri Palestinians, Yemen people are Muslims and that they are not getting support? So I put it here so he doesn't check which one I have not.
Let us go first, different perceptions about Kashmir, the narratives. Muhammad Yasin Malik, he is the symbol of independence of Kashmir, total independence. Sayyid Ali Gilani, he is the symbol of accession to Pakistan. But we had an alliance, JRL, Joint Resistance League. Muhammad Yasin Malik, the symbol of independence. Sayyid Ali Gilani, the symbol of accession. Mirwais Umar Farooq, they were the part of this almost for 7 years. Anything that happened in Kashmir, it was issued by, not by Gilani Sahab, not by Muhammad Yasin Malik, by Joint Resistance League. Second point, Muhammad Yasin Malik is on the record to have said, I stand for independent Kashmir. But if the majority of the people of Kashmir would like to form India, which is obviously the last choice, but at least he made a statement. If majority of the people of Kashmir would, because we are asking a referendum, if they will vote for India, I will accept that. But what is more interesting is Sayyid Ali Gilani. He said that accession to Pakistan is not my political manifesto. Accession to Pakistan is my article of faith. But if majority of the people of Kashmir would like to vote for India, I will accept that. You see what I am saying?
It is very important, not only independent Kashmir and accession, even India also. It is what we are asking. If some people say that we have to go India, but just to give us the chance, why India, Pakistan?
The question is that Sayyid Ali Gilani has only one option, that's Pakistan. But he said, because we are asking, give us the right, we cannot give others right, we should give them the right too. Baby steps. You want me to tell you the truth and nothing but the truth? The Chinese mission told us, Chinese, 1 week before they initiated the resolution in the Security Council, Jai Shankar, the Foreign Minister of India, he went to Beijing to meet his counterpart, the Foreign Minister of China. You know what was the discussion? What happened to you? Why are you going to initiate the resolution? Chinese mission told us he knew there is absolutely no way we are not going to initiate the resolution. But still he came to Beijing. He tried to persuade us. Niger is not on, today is not, but Niger was the member of the Security Council. But Niger is also the member of the OIC contact group on Kashmir, right from December of 1994. There was OIC conference going to take place in March of 2019. Jai Shankar went to Niger in December with 3 points. Shafiq Bhai, 3 points. Talking to who? Niger, which is the part of the OIC Kashmir contact group. Don't put Kashmir on the agenda. Invite us as an observer. You are a poor country, you are going to have this international conference, you need some support. This is a $30 million donation. You see what I am saying? Whoever asks that, why do you want to take the baby step? Brother, this is the member. There are only 5 members of the OIC Kashmir contact group. Saudi Arabia, Niger, Pakistan, Azerbaijan, OIC Secretary General, and Kashmiri leadership. And asking the Niger, don't put the Kashmir on the agenda. So if this is happening with our OIC brothers, so there is no other choice but to take the baby steps. May Allah bless the soul of Dr. Ayub Thakur. He was one of our colleagues from London. We were in Dakar, December of 1991 Islamic conference. We met with the foreign minister of a Gulf country, without mentioning the name. Very genius, very young, maybe in his early 30s, and speaking English and an Arab. So we went to him, Dr. Ayub and myself. I said, thank you very much, Excellency. You passed the resolution on Kashmir, but can you put the teeth in it? He said, what are the teeth? He said, can you boycott, have economic boycott against India? You know what he said? He said, gentlemen, I 100% agree with you. But I will tell you, there are so many limitations, even I cannot propose it to my own government. December of 1991. Whoever asked this question honestly, I have a great respect for him or her. It should not be baby step, we should be at the top right now. But we have limitation. Do you know the name of Imran Khan? Imran Khan? No, whether you like him or not, really. Not as the Prime Minister of Pakistan, honestly. He's a magic. Imran Khan is a magic. You know what he said? in 2021. He said, we have to support our Kashmiri brothers and sisters. I am going to have a special OIC conference on Kashmir. Again, Imran Khan, not only the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, the wife of Mahathir Mohamad, Prime Minister of Malaysia. Excellency, can I have a photo with you? Do you know that? This is on the record.
Yeah.
And the First Lady of America, what is her name? Donald Trump's wife. She never comes. She was, no, I had to take a photo. But that Imran Khan could not persuade one country to have a Kashmir conference of OIC. Imran Khan. Yes, it should be more than baby steps. But you have to really understand these limitations. But last thing I will tell you. Someone mentioned it earlier. You know, we are meeting with these embassies in Washington and the missions in New York. But these missions and embassies are in every capital. I will not really burden you to meet every single country. But I will ask you to meet with few countries, whoever you choose. You will be shocked. If not all of them, but some of them, they are going to give an appointment. I will give you one example because I had his friend with me, Dr. Abdurruf Bir and Dr. Imtiaz Khan. Because you won't really understand how this international relation works. We had a meeting with the Finland embassy, not the mission. Embassy means in Washington. With the Finland. 3 ladies and we were 3 of us. Almost an hour meeting. Whenever we go, we give them the briefing paper. And I gave the briefing paper in the name of President. 1 hour meeting. Next is the Deputy Ambassador, she is calling me. Dr. Fai, where are you? We were really, this time Dr. Imtiaz was not with us, Dr. Roof was with me. I said, I am very close to your embassy. Why? He said, this is very urgent. Can you come here? I said, in fact, I am just 2 minutes away from your. He said, okay, just come because there is no parking, in Washington, D.C. He said, come directly to the embassy. I will be there. And she was really waiting outside. I said, what's the problem? He said, you created a problem for me. And she took us up. Listen really carefully. You are really important. You don't understand your importance. I said, I'm really sorry. What happened? She told us that you gave us a briefing paper for the name of President of Finland. I said, yes. He said, but the name you have mentioned is our Prime Minister. And I made a mistake. She said, I made a mistake. I did not really read your briefing paper. I sent it to Helsinki. I sent it to capital. They are asking me, is it for the President or for the Prime Minister? I said, Subhanallah. I thought it is going to end in the dustbin. I said, who is the most important person? He said, our President. I said, give me the name. What I am saying, wallahi, we thought we gave them a briefing paper and she is going to put it there. No. I sent a letter to New Zealand Prime Minister after she got elected because she had a big challenge because people were saying that she may lose. She got more than, I think she got maybe 60% votes. I sent her the letter of congratulations. I mentioned Kashmir and few things here and there. And she responded, wallahi. She said, you raise a very important question, but I don't deal with it. Our foreign office deals with it. The Prime Minister of New Zealand. I am simply telling you, if you really keep writing, your letters will be published, and you will be surprised. You may get a response from the Antonio Guterres. It is getting late, but it is important. I wrote a letter to Kofi Annan. We would like to meet you. I know it's not easy to meet with the Secretary General. His chief of the staff sent me the response. Our Under Secretary General, as I told you, Kiran Pendergast, our Under Secretary General has been directed by the Secretary General to meet with you because he will be out of country. Which I told you that we met with the Kiran Panagas. What is important? His chief of the staff is an Indian. Can you believe it? The Indian writing to a Kashmiri that we have arranged your meeting with the Pinagas. That's what I am saying. Wallahi, never lose hope. But after tying the camel, leave it up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Thank you very much. Thank you, each of you. And on this positive note, my cameraman has already told me that you are the one who will back now. So I would thank everyone. We also had a media team here from a Pakistani media channel board. So I would thank them also for coming. I would thank each of you who has attended this session. And I promise you, inshallah, in order to make sure you come again, that next time I felt these thoughtful sessions take long. So we need to add something to eat as well. So we do have a limitless time to sit in, inshallah. So thank you very much. Let's conclude over here. And let's go, the way he has told us. Okay, you can clap.